Hey guys, is this thing on?
I'm sure I plugged it in. Is that plugged in over there?
Andy, is this thing on?
Check it. 1, 2.
Is this thing on?
Check. I have phantom power. Oh, yeah. There you go.
Welcome to Chicks with Gear, the podcast, where 3 lifelong friends get together to drink some coffee, play some music, talk about gear, and our quest for the most perfect acoustic sound on stage. I'm Deb.
I'm Julie.
I'm Andy.
Who's not a chick? No, he's not. He's our resident gearhead, the fabulous Andy Most. Andy?
Julie.
Hey, who we got in the studio today?
Wow. He actually played on this song that we're listening to right now.
Some hot licks.
He may have.
What can I say? One of my dearest friends
Oh.
from way back with fabulous Jeff King, awesome guitar player, session player, guitarist of the stars.
Tammy calls him the king. He's the king. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming to our little studio,
Glad to be here.
I know.
especially on a snowy day. We weren't sure we were all going to make it. You guys are so brave.
Well, we had enough chili at home, so it was time to get out. Before I weigh 300 pounds.
300 pounds.
I wish I was kidding.
Oh,
I love to eat. Well, Andy?
Yes, sir.
What
Ma'am.
her kids call her Sure.
Yeah, they do.
So, Andy, maybe we should start, since how we were saying sir and ma'am in the wrong place, with some Magic Mind. What do you guys think?
Oh, should we do it? I think we need some.
How about you? Are you game?
Sure.
All right.
Oh.
Pass one down. What's that old song?
Take one down, pass it around. 99 bottles of
Beer.
Magic Mind on the wall.
Yeah.
What does this do again? What is this?
It gets you in your flow state.
Get you in your what?
Flow state.
Huh? Wait,
Wait,
wait a
what?
minute. What's he talking about?
As focus.
Sharper mind.
Both of us?
Calm energy.
Sorry.
We were talking about flowing earlier.
And some people do it in a shot. It has matcha in it, adaptogens, lion's mane, and some other groovy stuff.
It's good for you.
Yes, good for you. And it absolutely helps, I think. Cheers.
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 Cheers, Ange.
Cheers. Oh, that was a really loud swallow. Sorry. Andy, you'll have to edit that out.
It's still green.
Wow.
That's what Andy always says. It's still green.
It is very green.
It is good.
It's not easy being green.
It's not. It's supposed to be green, so no worries.
Well, cool. Now that we have focused.
Well, how about I'm going to start and tell how I met Jeff.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Do tell.
So a few years ago, I had just moved to town and I was playing with somebody and she had a gig up at the Big E,
Oh, my goodness.
Yes.
Hey.
We know that.
Right.
which is basically the state fair for New England, pretty
Yes.
much, right?
Yeah. It's
I
big
don't know
fun.
when that was. That might have been 89 or
Wow.
90 or something, right? Maybe
Something
something
like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
And so I was playing on the milk stage with
Oh.
Rebecca Holden and also Porter, and then basically Little Texas, pre-Little Texas was, was on the same stage. And Jeff was with Patty Loveless on the beer stage.
Oh, he got the good stage.
Yeah,
What happened
so
to you?
he got like 1 or 2 shows a day, and we were doing like 4 shows a day, but didn't anybody hit on him.
Got to drink more milk, I guess.
Yeah. But on one of their breaks or during sound check or whatever, Jeff and the acoustic player, Lance Derry, they came over and introduced themselves to me, which was, wow.
Very
I was like,
cool.
wow, this is very cool. And so
Because you were smoking.
Oh, yeah.
That I believe.
Yeah.
So anyway, I thought that was very cool. I was like, all right, Patty Loveless is guitar player. Yeah, we need him, man.
So was that like a reoccurring thing that you were all touring together, or was that like just how you met?
I was there for 2 weeks. I think Jeff was probably there a weekend or a week or something. But then we can move on from there. So that's how I met Jeff.
Yeah.
And then I've also, touring with some other people. Jeff was with Patty. And one thing about Jeff, I mean, a friend to all, besides amazing player, super person. How many times can you say super?
Super duper.
I don't know where, like opium steroids. I don't know if I stole that from somebody or where that came from. Just he would, I've subbed on several things that Jeff's turned me on to and other things, and definitely gone through some gear things, but we'll get to that.
That's right.
And Jeff on tour, back then, like I forget who the headliner. Anyway, Jeff, I always remember Jeff was sort of like the ringleader of, hey man, let's go to this pawn shop. Let's go out to, he would gather people up, always something to do. It's very cool. And also happens to know where like every meat and three and mom and pop restaurant is.
That's a good friend to know.
Yes.
Where the good eats are.
Anyway,
It's important.
that's a brief little introduction.
So you live in Nashville. Where are you from?
I grew up in a little town in East Tennessee, Townsend.
Oh, okay.
Outside of Maryville, Knoxville.
I know
in the
that
mountains. Yeah. It was a wonderful place to grow up.
I bet.
Beautiful area.
Yeah, it was fun. Lots of mountains. We spent a lot of times hiking, camping, all that.
So you're a
Playing guitar.
Tennessee boy playing the guitar. Something you always wanted to do, or how did you decide to become a guitar player?
Well, back in, I was visiting my grandmother in West Virginia, like we were saying, we were talking about that earlier. And my aunt had a 45 and it had a record player. My aunt is probably 5 or 6 years older than I am. She was the youngest of the 9 or 10.
Oh, wow.
I think there's 10 or maybe 11 of my mom's siblings.
Wow,
and,
That's amazing.
Yeah, so she had Dobie Gray Drift Away. And I remember sitting there with this 45 going on, and I just remember sitting there going, I'm going to have to play that again. I mean, I was 10 or 11, so I didn't really know what was happening.
Right.
I just knew that there was something about that just made me, wow, I don't know what's happening to me, but this is the coolest thing in life till this point, So, and then I found my uncle, that was my Aunt Penny, my Uncle Kenneth, who was the next oldest, and he was probably 10 years older than I am. He had an old guitar in the back of a closet.
Oh, wow.
And it was a rough early guitar. So, it was, the neck wasn't great and the strings were high up, but I remember somehow getting I don't have any idea if it was really in tune, but I remember playing some notes going, wow, listen to these tones, it's beautiful sound. Yeah.
It is. It's
It was awesome. It was
like,
magic to me. But anyway, then I just that was the beginning
That
for
was
me.
it.
So, yeah. And I didn't really have a, epiphany moment or any other than listening to that record. And then that was Reggie Young on the record. It was great Reggie Young, who's since departed. And, later on, as I was in more sessions, I got to play with Reggie on sessions
No way.
a handful of times.
That's really cool.
And there were times when I remember we met at Studio Instrument Rentals one time. I was looking at fixing a piece of gear, and he was down there trying to go through some stuff, and we ran into each other, and he started showing me, hey, check out this guitar, Jeff. This Waylon Jennings gave me this. And it's like,
Oh, my gosh.
had all the leather bound stuff on it. And then he pulled out this old Boss Roland, I think it's called a CE1. Old chorus, and he said, "That's what I used on Drift Away." I was like,
Oh, my
Oh,
gosh.
that's
so
really
I'm telling
cool.
the story about,
Wow.
I heard Drift Away, and I was like, whoa.
That's so
cool.
crazy.
Yeah, it was So anyway, that was kind of the beginning, and went
here
from
we
there.
are at
And
this
here we
podcast.
are. Yeah, here we are.
So did you have a moment where you said, I'm going to do this for a job, or did it just sort of happen?
Well, so later on, I played guitar through high school, never really any seriousness, but I took some lessons from a family friend that showed me the Wildwood Flower. And I remember in 4th grade, I took my guitar for a show and tell day, and I said, well, you know, with music, especially guitar, you have 4 major chords. You have G, C, D, and E, and those are your 4 major keys. And I remember I was like looking back, and the teacher was going like this. I'm going, what is wrong with her? I'm like, so anyway, then it goes on, and
That's funny.
yeah, you know. I forgot what we were talking about.
Well, I was asking.
This stuff is good.
I've done that also.
Yeah, what's going on? So I had
Magic
asked
man.
you if you kind of always knew you wanted to do it as a
right,
career,
right.
or did it just sort of happen? Like, how did you decide to become, hey, I'm going to do this for my living?
Well, so I went to college out of high school, and I got a degree in engineering, not music engineering, but engineering technology.
So you're a smarty pants.
Well, not enough. I'm still here. I wanted to be an architect, and and it was cool. And so I graduated, and I thought, well, I'll just move to Nashville, see what's going on. And I did come down here and work for an architect for a while. Oh. But I couldn't get enough hours to live. I was like 20 hours a week, and at the time, very part-time. And I became I used to go out and look at properties that he was designing, and like he would do apartments, and I would sort of go inspect them to make sure there are no holes in the walls, and that was kind of fun, you know. So I would get to eat a lot of those great little places I'd find along the way, and or surrounding towns. But then I started thinking, you know, I can't really live on this and pay my rent at the apartment. So
you decided to be a musician.
I decided, and I was so bad.
just teasing.
I was a terrible guitar player. But
I doubt that.
2 things happened. I said, hey, where's a great place to hear music? And my friend said, actually, it wasn't a friend, it was somebody I met, and they said, you should go to the Stagecoach on Murfreesboro Road. You guys remember that?
Yes. I've been there.
Yeah, back at that time, it was a really incredible club, and I probably lived a half a mile from there, and I was like, really? And they said, yeah, there's some really, really good band there. So I walked in, and you guys probably know Brent Mason, who plays on the organ. Walked in, and I was like, holy crap, is this what everybody is like here? And and luckily the answer is no. But for me, that became my second school, I guess.
Wow.
I started to go like 2 or 3 nights a week and just sit there and watch and try to make it home with a thought, an idea of something. And you know, back to the job. So I left, and I answered an ad in the paper looking for a guitar player. And I've only done that once in my life. And I think that's the nuttiest thing ever. And it was a band from Texas that had moved here. A piano player, a sax player, and a girl singer. And they said, sure. And come out and let's play together. So we backed an architect who became a singer for a while. And then he didn't have very many jobs, and then we decided to strike out on our own. So I moved here in June of '83, and in probably September of '83, we were headed out on the road to do clubs, you know, 4 or 5 hour sets a night, 7 nights, 6, 7 nights a week, and
paying your dues.
Travel. We went way up into Canada, spent 3 months up in around up doing all these clubs up there and all through the U.S. and it really charged me. I really thought, okay, I'm gonna have to step this up. So I started really practicing, trying to learn stuff. So then it's like, well, let's just see where this goes. Yeah. I mean, I've got a degree. I can
Always fall back on
maybe.
that. Maybe. Yeah, I'm an engineer. I can engineer anything.
Yeah, well, it was a good thing. College was good to me.
Yeah. Well, that's a really interesting route to get there, and it's really cool. Everyone has a different story in how they got to that. So thank you for sharing that.
Sure.
Yeah. So what would you say was your big break? Like, when did you say, well, I'm definitely in the right place, and this is my moment that kind of flipped the switch to the guy? Because you really are the guy.
No, you know what happened in my life, what happens, and I don't know, I don't plan this like this. Things evolve, and somehow I either get thrown out of something or I step out of something, and then there's a cab waiting, and then you go, okay, get in and go, let's go. So that's fabulous. The short version is that band, we did like 2 or 3 years of that band. And our last 6 or 9 months was in Nashville at a club on Trinity Lane called Andy Jack's, where we were the house band.
Oh, wow.
And so we were playing 6 nights a week out there, 4 or 5 sets a night. And then the band just sort of dissolved because we were all tired.
I can't imagine why.
Yeah, so I started playing a few clubs around town, but, as long as you make enough money to
keep going.
Do to pay your bills, you're like, this is a win.
Yeah.
So then my friend from college, Jeff Coppage, I went to East Tennessee State University. He transferred to Middle Tennessee State, and he wanted to become a recording engineer.
Oh.
So he worked for Jimmy Bowen, who was a big, massive producer back in the 70s,
heyday.
80s, whatever. Yeah, the heyday.
Many.
And he was a second engineer on a lot of projects, and he called me one day and he said, hey, we are working on a girl over here at Emerald, and her name is Patty Loveless. Oh. And she's going to be putting together a band. I was just wondering if you might be interested in this. And I'm like, heck yeah. I mean, this is great, yeah.
Yes.
So, I was playing with other bands and doing writers' nights, and which is how I met Chaz. Well, I probably knew Chaz before, but played with this guy Steve Pivens out there at the Holiday Inn on Broadway Park.
Yeah.
You learn to read charts upside down with one eye half open. And, so let's see. Then, so I get a call from Patty's manager, Roger, her brother at the time, and he says, hey, would you like to come over and play? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. So we meet at Acuff Rose when it was on Franklin, across from the Sonic over there. I don't know if you guys ever remember that. That's old school stuff. But in the attic, and I don't remember it having air conditioning.
Oh.
But so we got together, and I walked in, and that's where I met Lance Derry, like we said earlier, and some other guys. Tony Paoletta played steel, and Mike played drums, and I can't remember who was on bass at the time, but Emery Gordy had produced her record.
Oh, well, that's right.
And he would come to the rehearsals, and he'd show up, and I'm like, okay, I've got a CD or cassette probably at that time. I'm trying to learn these songs. I'm trying to learn how to do this.
Right.
Because I don't really know how to learn this kind of stuff, because you need to really know it note for note.
Yeah.
To be proper. And so we started kind of rehearsing, and we did like 3 or 4 days. And I remember one day as we finished up, I looked at Lance, or one of the guys, and I said, so are we still auditioning? Are we in the band?
Do I have the gig?
What's happening here?
I love that.
So it's like, well, nobody else is coming in, so I guess we'll come back next week. And I don't remember if we got paid for any of the rehearsals or anything, but it was during all of that, and I don't think this is a general rule for everyone, but in most of my career, 95%, I try not to think about money although you kind of need to think about money, but I try not to think about how much you get paid for something. It's either, do you want to do it, or is there a purpose for doing it, or do you need to do it because of some third reason, whatever.
Right,
But I've kind of always that's kind of always been my MO, to do that kind of stuff. And Patty was great. I was there for 5, almost 6 years. And then I finally just thought, okay, I've done this and it's time for me to move on. And so, we were making really great money at the end and after 5.5 years. And I remember it was either right after Christmas or right after New Year's. I remember sitting in my little office in the basement in East Nashville. And I remember Patty saying, whatever I can do to help you, I'll be happy to do. And she's like, thanks. And, sorry that you're going to go, but Emery and I understand you want to go do more sessions. And because I was getting called for a few things. And so as I hang up the phone, I remember as I'm going about right here, I'm going, whatever I make, like, 60 or 70,000 a year to zero. There is zero.
What have I done?
And that number might be exaggerated too, but I can't remember. But.
Well, so there are people that the first thing they say is, what's it pay? So there's a difference right there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you
got to know, but still.
that's part of it. But, you really need to know whether it's something you would enjoy doing or not.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Or what you might learn from it.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. What you learn, and then the money follows, is what they always say.
Yeah. Because it can't just be about the money. Because, a lot of things take a really long time. And if you don't love it, it's rough.
This is true, right?
I always tell the guys, new guys, message me on Facebook and I'll say, hey, I want to go be in I want to come to town. And what do you suggest? And my reply is, do you love this so much that you can't not do it? Because then you're ready to move to town. But if you think you're going to walk into town and things are going to go really right, it probably doesn't work that way.
No, I agree.
So, but I mean, there are always exceptions too. So,
Yeah.
that's part of it.
Yeah. I think people think it's going to happen like that, and good Lord, it doesn't always.
They say
It takes a while.
10-year town, right?
Or 20 or 30.
What year is this?
Yeah, right.
Hey.
I think that's with any career, though.
Yeah,
I really do. I don't think, you hear the stories that like a publicist might tell, oh, this was like a magic all of a sudden. And then you find out the whole story, like it wasn't magic. They took them 10 years to get to that magic thing that shot them up into the moon. So I think sometimes younger people hear the story and don't realize what was behind before that magic moment. It's hard work, people, no matter what you want to do.
Dang it.
I think a lot of people have a lot of time in before they get here too.
Yes, that's
so
it.
They're already getting to town and they're ready to go, and it's frustrating. And I get that. So
It's you want to do what you want to do that you love. So you come here, you're like, And Nashville is so different now than when we first moved to town. So I would imagine younger people coming now, it's much harder to meet someone like you or Andy or Julie and me,
Well,
It's not so hard.
you guys put your phone number at the end of this, right?
Of course we do.
Yes, like, share, and subscribe. And we will say hi.
Comment below. We're always looking for engagement. Come on.
So obviously, Andy told how you guys met. How did your paths cross through the years?
Our paths kept crossing for a long time, right, Andy?
Yeah,
Sort
absolutely.
of in, because Andy would write these crazy great tunes and play. Andy's such a great player. I'm
Yes,
still,
he is.
Jeff.
I am
has
still
been,
to this day. I listen to something online and on Facebook. He'll post
yeah.
these things, and I'll just go, "Golly, such great taste, tone, and what were the 3 T's, Andy? Remember?
Right.
Texture.
Taste, tone, and tuning.
Oh, and tuning.
Yeah.
Tuning's important.
we played with Chaz and Chaz's Big Timber band, the 3 of us.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, I think a couple
didn't know
little
that.
shows.
That's really cool.
It was basically Chaz and Andy had original tunes, and I just hung on like I'm swinging through like a vine through the forest.
Not true, but he did also.
And Ray, the guy that played drums and bass at the same time, remember him?
Yes, I do.
He played bass and drums
And
at the same
drums
time?
at the same time.
Chaz.
Like a bass pedal?
Yeah.
He'd play like this. He had his strings really low, but he'd play drums.
Wow.
Chaz says I made him fire. Ray. Oh go, man. Because Brian Barnett was playing at the Big E also. And so we got Brian. I was like, and Dave France was like, all right, the bass and drums, that's super cool what he's doing, but that's got to go, man. So, it's terrible.
Julie and I had this little gig in college, and it was her and I played bass pedals like an organ.
Stolen from our grandmother's Hammond B3. She took the bass pedals. Yes.
Well, the bass pedals I bought, we stole the drum machine.
Oh, yeah.
We had it was
Rhythm
mostly
bass.
sambas and bossa novas. Playing at the what was the name?
It
The
did have
Round.
Yeah.
They paid us $300 a night just for the
yeah.
two of us. Oh yeah, we didn't need no drummer, no bass player.
Wow.
And that was like a really
That
long
was like
time
a
ago.
long time ago. It was a lot of money.
Jeff has always had incredible sound back in the day. You know, racks of gear were going on, and they grew and they grew. And Jeff and Chaz, I mean, they've always been able to hang on to like each piece of gear. This whole, you know, I'm always like selling it to get the next piece, you know, but they hang on to it. I would go over to Jeff's house and, you know, check out the rack and, you know, look at it and, you know, wire it up together and sort of just ask a bunch of questions. And so it's definitely been a big gear thing.
So do you have a big closet that has all your gear from the beginning of time?
I have a closet that has a lot, but you know, 2 years ago, I sold. So in the early studio days, I had a big rack and then a smaller one with power amps and stuff, and then a whole bunch of cabinets. And so I sold my Soldano X88 preamp, which was a highly sought after piece of preamp from Soldano in LA, of course, and. Then what was the 2150, Andy?
VHT.
VHT Chrome Power Amp, and which was cool. And I sold both of those to a buddy of mine who works for like Twisted Sister or something.
Oh, that's very cool.
So or something like that. And and then, but I still have a lot of the some things I just don't know how to get rid of, like you know, Andy, you know, the tri-stereo chorus, which is. It's a coveted piece of gear, but I don't use it. It's in a tub.
But you might.
I
you know?
might.
And then you'll be like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, it might come back.
I know.
You might get a show with somebody like, remember that piece of gear? We want you to bring it out.
Right.
It's the same thing with my husband. He's a pack rat.
Yeah.
And like he'll be some things I'm like, he'll never know if I get rid of it.
Right.
And as soon as I do, he's like, hey,
yeah.
where's that little piece of thing that's been sitting here? I'm like, oh, I have no idea.
It's in the garbage
What you do with it? Sorry. I digress.
No, you're
So many pieces of that gear that came out that I just went, I don't know how to sell this because they don't make them they don't make these things anymore, and you can't get them. And so I've got it. So I've, you know, and but they're worth a lot. So I don't know. I'm stuck in that.
absolutely.
I don't know what to do with it.
You could have a museum of gear.
Yeah, but I don't know who would pay to see that.
I bet you would.
No.
Come on.
Might be kind of cool.
It'd be fun, but you know, in the studio world, then it kind of went more. We kind of started leaning a little more amps and pedal boards, and then it became more amps and more pedals, and you know, it just varies. It just for some sessions, I would take 4 or 5 heads and 3 or 4 cabinets and pedal boards, and you know, lots of guitars and stuff. So it's just it evolves.
It's evolved. Yeah. So I know you have toured a lot with some big time people over the years, but you've also been a session player. How did you balance it? It was like one time you just did one or the other, or were you doing them at the same time?
Well, after I left Patty, and I think it was 91-ish, somewhere around there, I started trying to do more sessions, and basically by the mid to 96, 97, I was starting to be busy, starting to do stuff that I liked doing. And so I had, which leads me to the next chapter. I mean, I got very fortunate to play on some records through then, lots of records. Yeah. And I played on a Reba record, and which was really fun. And it's interesting, you do a lot of custom things, and they're great, because you get to be creative.
Yeah.
You get to come up with an intro lick and you get to work on a solo or whatever. But then you work with a total pro like that or Faith or
Right.
Randy Travis, whatever. And you go, wow, this is a whole different, I see now why this is like this. And so I worked on a couple Reba records. And then a couple years later, Tammy, my wife Tammy, was actually in the Reba band. And she was playing fiddle and mando, and the guitar player at that point, Jerry McPherson, who he and I had done the sessions together. So he was in her touring band at the time, and he left to go play with Faith Hill. So Reba's manager called and said, hey, do you want to come out and play a few dates with us? We're not going to do a lot of stuff. We're just going to do 25, 30 dates, and we just want to go have fun, no drama, no nothing, just play some dates, have fun. And I was like, well... And at that point, it was sort of, if you were a session guy, you know, if you went on the road, people would go, oh, poor guy, he's not getting enough sessions, you know, which at the time wasn't exactly true because for some of the better acts, they were paying great. So, you know, you kind of were, but I thought, you know, I'm feeling a little burnt.
Yeah.
So it'd be cool to go out and see a live audience now.
Yeah.
So I went out and did that.
And this pay is great.
And this pay is great. But I still say I didn't think about the pay until.
No,
you know,
yeah, for sure.
But 20 years later, I'm still
amazing,
in the
man.
band.
Oh,
and,
that's fabulous.
But
That's amazing.
she's done different things. Like she's taken the last 2 or 3 years off. And I've been touring with Brooks and Dunn until recently. And then
Wow.
So it's, you know, it all leads somewhere, and you just hang on and kind of hope you make the right decisions and think about things and whatever, however you get there. So,
And it's cool you've gotten to do some things with your wife too, which is really nice to be able to do some music with her too, and which she, as you know, was on our podcast not too long ago.
Yeah, she had a great time.
So, do we want to talk about some gear?
Let's do it.
Yes.
Let's do it.
Maybe we talk a little bit more about all the gear in your closet.
Oh, I think it's time. Let's talk gear. Oh, I'm ready.
Woo!
All right.
I had to put the bomb in there. Sorry.
So, did you bring any gear?
Find out.
I brought a little pedal board, and I brought a guitar that
I've seen that guitar.
was
On
built
TV.
for me in 1984, 5, something like that.
Oh, wow.
So about the time I started with Patty, I had this guitar built by Joe Glazer, a guy here in town that started kind of, what would you say, Andy? I mean, he started doing benders, but they weren't like the early benders were awesome and new and everything, but they were like double the size of a Telecaster. So,
Oh, wow.
So it would be twice. You'd have a Tele, and then you have one in the back that had this mechanism in it.
Was it heavy?
It was the Parsons White. Yes, it was heavy. I think Marty Stewart has the grand prized one.
Really?
Yeah, and then so Joe developed a way to make them as well, and for a lot of Nashville guys.
He also used to heckle us at the racquetball courts
Oh yeah,
in Green Hills at the Y. Just saying. No,
I used to
sorry.
go play with him, but I only did once. But when I got there, I was stretching and I pulled a hamstring.
Oh no! Don't pull a
Before we
Hammond.
played.
He would bang on the glass, go, "You're not playing.
Yeah.
Get out." Like we're just talking for a second.
We're fighting. We used to fight.
Yeah, we learned very early. We need to play on a sport together,
Yes.
not against each other. It's ugly.
It's very ugly.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
It's fun.
I couldn't help it.
So, do you
I
have
wanna
a
see-
bender now?
I have 3 different ones, but the one, my original one, I wanted it on the G string.
Oh.
For some strange reason, because before that I had a Tele with these palm pedals on it, Bigsby palm pedals, and one would stick up and one would stick down. The G would stick up and the B would stick down, and you had to lay your hand correct. And I found that the way I played and had my hand, the G one was the one I used all the time. So I went to Joe and I said, I want you to build me a guitar Of course, I had no money. We were playing, and so I'm selling one thing, I'm doing, whatever to try to get the next thing. And so Joe was at that point just he's just a great guy. And if
He is a
if he
great
can help
guy.
you, he will. So he helped me, or he built this guitar for me, and then when I went to pick it up, I was so excited, and I get there and I jump in and I'm like, wow, this is so great. I got to go meet the bus. We're headed out with Patty, and I look at it and I go, wait a minute, this bender is on the B string. And he goes, yeah? And I went, no, I wanted it on the G. I remember we talked about this. We talked about this. And he said, I said, okay, take it out this weekend, bring it back, and then we'll switch it. And I'm like, okay, great. So I take it out, and I'm lost, and I'm just trying to figure out how to not use it because I don't know.
Dang it.
Oh, that's frustrating.
So I went back, and it was on the G, and it's like any of those things you do. I got it on the G. I started using it a lot. Jimmy Olander, who's a dear friend, you guys know the Dunn and Rio.
Yes.
So
Fabulous.
Jimmy was just making great records with the B bender, G and B. He had two, and I think they both bend a whole step. For years, I thought it was a half and a whole, but no, he said that's two holes. And so I loved that sound, so I just started using it a lot. And then after a couple of years and started doing more sessions, I thought, I have to take this strap off and not use this for a while because I need to learn to play guitar again and not have this bender thing because what happens if I don't play that guitar? Then I don't have that sound. And I need to learn how to be, a little more versatile in the studio. So anyway, then I put it back, and I found that my head would work a lot better, so I could kind of choose for when the time was right. So,
Well, so
yeah.
So, Andy, what questions do you have for
What questions
Jeff?
do I have?
You have a bender, right, Andy?
I do. B string.
B.
But the G sounds great. And so Joe, I came here on my honeymoon, basically because there was some money and to check it out. I brought to him in Leaper's Fork. And then less than a week later, he met me it was late, like midnight or something on Nemunbrian. He might have been working at Corner. I forget what, because he worked there a couple of days. And I got the B string done in less than a week, which would never, ever happen again, except now they're cranking them out. So it does, but for a period of time, you couldn't. So, that's great. So gear, going back to, we were talking about racks, and then it's gone to pedals and amps. But, you're still, not you, you're still a person. Sometimes you're still trying to make okay, you got an amp, some monos, still trying to get somehow choruses and everything out of your amps. It's gone you've gone away from that sound and you're trying to get it through amps again. Anyway, that's this little side comment. All right, here we go.
Yes.
What's in your car, your truck for non-cartage gig?
Well,
I wonder.
A few things, I mean. It doesn't have to be everything in there. And if you don't know who the artist is, what are you usually
I have sort of
sharing
a
with you?
standard non-cartage thing that
Yeah.
I take. And it used to be just a variation of any head that I have at home. I think my last count was about 34, 35 heads.
Right?
That's a lot.
And a lot are in cart. They just
They
over
appear.
40 years. It's been just an accumulation of things, and some
20?
I shouldn't have. Some were given to me from
Yes.
things, But so anyway, I finally bought an old blackface Fender Deluxe. And I really, really love that, and because I think it's very clear sounding and clean sounding, but
Right.
still has, top and bottom like you want out of a guitar amp. And sometimes use it with an external cabinet. And then I'll take a Tele, a Strat, a Les Paul, a Gretsch, sometimes a 335, and usually a baritone. And then I have pretty good sized pedal board that has 3 or 4 overdrives and reverb, and it's called the Spring Chicken, which is really cool. And a couple different delays and an expression pedal, so I can do weird things.
Weird thing.
Yeah, so an H9, so I can do weirder things if I need to.
Yeah.
Like, where's a weird thing?
Well, like
I'll give you a weird thing.
Yeah.
Jeff back had a line 6 screen delay. Jeff could do this like backwards intro thing, sort of. I could never do it, man. I've tried and tried. I could never do it. But anyway, what's the weird thing?
Well, that kind of stuff, like in the verse where things, like if it's a real vibey song and you're hearing the second verse and stuff's kind of moving around, it would be a couple parts. So I'd have one delay doing longer things, and I could push on this pedal. It wasn't a volume pedal, it was an expression pedal, and I could make the delays kind of repeat. So they do different things. And if I played another part, I could sort of oppose that and try to surround the vocal. I mean, it's all about the vocals, right? So you want to do that, but you also want to create this this bed to support that. So
So
you
look
support whatever.
Your engineering background sounds like you're engineering these.
Maybe so.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, it could be, but
That's so cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
So is that just live when you do that? Is that you're doing those weird things when you're recording for a record?
it can be. I can do that with my pedal board, which I have. Like a long time ago when we had racks and a lot of stuff moving different places a lot, I had 2 or 3 different pedal boards that would go different places. So in the past few years, I've just gotten one pretty good sized pedal board with everything that I really like on it. And that's just with me. If it's a record, I carry it in. And if it's a demo, I carry it in. If it's a custom record, I carry it in. And that way, I feel like I can do my best job with my
all your tools.
my best gear, yeah. So
what's on that pedal board?
Well, just all those, overdrives and wacky things and delays. And I found, overdrives and delay and reverbs have become something I really enjoy playing with, because you can really find a dynamic or a mood to fit a song.
I like that.
And sometimes it's nothing. Sometimes you turn everything off and you want something right here in your face, but sometimes you want just this thing that's going on. And so
when you're playing with, say, like Reba's band, does somebody encourage you a certain way, or do you just get to decide how you want that to sound?
Well, so sometimes when you're on the road like that, we sort of need to play what is close to the record.
Okay.
Because, and I found out this, I'm always kind of watching and learning and listening, and sometimes if you play a hit song that you've, let's take Fancy, for instance. Reba does Fancy. It's been forever a big hit song.
Oh, yeah.
So if I start playing something different than the record, then you got to think when she's singing, she's heard the same thing for so many years. And if I start, kind of departing from that and doing other things, is she going to at some point go, what the heck? What am I hearing over here?
It could be distracting.
And get distracted by it. So, there were times I would try to play a few different fills.
Yes.
And the manager at the time, he said, hey, if you don't mind, very kind. And he said, will you go back to what you were doing earlier? Because I think that's what she's used to hearing. And, and you think, wow, I want to get out and, play guitar and get to, it's for the thing that I do. It's not about that. It's learning about the parts and how everything works together. And,
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Her old manager would have sent you home. Just kidding.
Oh, no.
That was her old manager.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Go think about what you just said, and we'll call you later.
Go sit on the bus now. No, just kidding.
We don't like that lick. Tasty as it was.
You just have to be thinking about how it's going to affect the whole thing, So
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Yes, Andy.
All right, I got another question.
Okay,
We're going to go. You got to be somewhere?
No, I have nowhere to be.
How about you?
I'm hiding out from my children
puppies.
and
Your
my
puppies.
puppies.
All right. Going back. This is a tough question, but going back. Favorite piece of rack gear from back in the day.
Back
let's
in the
say early 90s. That's not a tri-stereo chorus.
That's not a tri-stereo chorus.
Pre that. Like SPX, I remember seeing that. You had a Korg in your. I knew everything in Jeff's rack.
Some kind of chord.
Pictures.
The first thing that was really blew my mind was when the Yamaha SPX 90 came out, right?
Yeah.
Because it did different things in a rack form, and everybody was just like, wow, there's so much you can do here. You can flip the dial and it'll go to a completely different sound, which is so normal now because we have so many plugins and all this stuff.
Right.
And, but that was a pretty intense piece of gear. And so much of that stuff I've even forgotten about. I still have the Korg, but I still have some kind of Roland SDX 330 something or other.
Oh,
that I
right.
don't even remember
Delay
what,
there. Or something,
something like that.
Yeah.
But,
That's all I had. That was good.
So, do you mostly play electric guitar, or you play both the same amount of, like on the show? Is it mostly just electric? Or
Mostly electric.
Mostly electric. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm afraid of acoustic guitar.
You
You
are.
have to be so good. And I feel like I can hide a little bit.
With all that delay and slap.
Yeah, that's right.
So I do not play electric guitar or any guitar. I play mandolin, but I love all the effects now.
Yes, we know this.
Yes. Andy has exposed us to the pedal board world. And he actually told me today that I had to take off some of my slap because it was too much.
Too much.
I've crossed the line.
She was not a believer, but I brought her back to listen to headphones.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
said, yeah, that's too much.
Okay.
It was too slappy.
But speaking of that, I want to see this fabulous guitar.
Yeah.
We can go to Studio B and do a little picking, a little grinning.
So we need some
Let's do
magic.
it.
And
Okay.
and usually we say Shazam to get there.
You ready?
Same.
Okay,
Yeah.
I got the magic.
Shazam!
Ladies and gentlemen,
While you guys were doing whatever you were doing.
It's like, wait, something's going on. Okay, here we go. Ready?
Come on, Julie, you got it.
All right, here we go. Shazam! Oh,
We are back.
that was so much fun.
Yeah, you're an amazing picker. That's for sure.
That was fun.
I
Andy, you're
concur.
not so
I
bad
concur.
yourself.
Yeah, I'm hanging in there.
Andy Most.
I know.
Mostly Slim, we used to call him.
Mostly
still do. Man,
That's my Instagram handle.
It is.
Dean Hall, right?
Yeah,
right. Yeah.
Dusting off the electric, baby. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was really cool. So, Jeff, you have anything coming up you want to talk about?
Well, at the end of February, we start rehearsals for Reba, and we do, and she's awesome. And
Sorry, they're very excited.
we're very excited.
We love you, but
I know.
oh my God.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
No, she's awesome, and then we're going to do some dates in March.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Since then I think she's going to go back to TV land. So
I know.
Oh, she is all over the place. It's
she
amazing.
is all over the place
Yeah.
right now. But
Wow.
yeah, she's so much fun to tour with. She's
I bet.
She is just like she is on her show.
Really?
Yeah,
She's
just
cute on her
funny.
show.
Yeah.
So, how many people are in the band?
I think in this version there will be 9 or 10.
Oh,
because
wow.
there are a couple singers coming out this
Oh,
time.
wow. Big show.
Oh,
So it'll be a tight bus.
It will be a tight bus. 10 people in a bus. That's a lot.
new guys in the back.
They're in the trailer.
Man, Jeffrey, thank you so much for coming on.
Oh,
I'm
my gosh.
honored.
A
I'm
blast.
honored. Thank you so much for having me.
This was awesome to have you here.
Learned a lot about you also.
I know.
Awesome picking with you. It's been a long time.
It's been a
Yeah.
long time.
We have a tradition on the show.
We do.
And thankfully, your very sweet wife corrected us on the pronunciation. Because we had no idea. But we have a little toast for yerba
Mate. Although I still like saying yerba mate.
Guayaki, guayaki, guayaki.
Cheers.
Thank you so
Cheers.
much for coming.
Andy.
So much
Thanks,
fun.
Andy.
Cheers.
Oh,
All right.
this is my favorite one, the cranberry pomegranate.
Yes, this is
really
tasty.
good.
I like
It
the
is
ginger
really
one too.
Yep, yep.
I did
The
too, but
mint.
this is really
You
good.
had the mint?
Oh, I love the mint.
No, I haven't.
Awesome.
I love them all. This one's carbonated. Yeah. We love the
I
yerbas.
like that.
Oh, yeah, me too. Oh, on that note, sad to say, that's all we have for today. Jeff King, thank you so much for coming in and gracing us with your presence. We
Yeah.
had the best time. Thank you.
I had a great time. Thank you.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks so much for tuning in.
And if you have any questions for us or specifically for Andy to talk about gear, comment below.
And until next time,
Don't you worry about it.